Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials. I don't claim to be a religious person, but I thought that this extract from Matthew 24 was quite apt. You will hear of wars and rumours of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All of these are the beginning of birth pains. So with all the crises we've got going on, panic not. This is not the end. There's a lot more still to come. Well, good morning. It's a chilly Sunday morning, but we've got the wood burning stove on, so that's good. Taking the edge off the temperature in here. I have to confess, I did have the diesel heater on as well, just to help out while the fire got going. Got my coffee. Don't know if you can hear in the background. Don't know if you'll hear that or not. There's obviously a shootout somewhere in the fields, in the distance there. I've been hearing that for the last, I don't know, half an hour since I got down here. You can tell from the steam on the coffee, it's still cold. Apologies for my erratic video production over the last few weeks. As I said in the thumbnail for the video, crazy times. And if you think it's crazy now, just wait, because it's going to get crazier for sure as we head into 2023. Not sure on the format for this video. I'm not going to be down here too long. The ground is all rock solid frozen, so there's not a great deal I can do outdoors. There are probably a few little bits I could do in the cabin, but in all honesty, I'm saving those up until I get some time off. Work has just been absolutely manic over the last probably month and a half to 2 months. I seem to be taking on more and more tasks. And because the employment situation, the economy in general, is so precarious, the last thing I want to do now is to give anybody an excuse to cut or amalgamate jobs in my little section of the company. So everyone really is just sucking it up and taking everything on and just doing the best they can to see themselves through to the Christmas break. I should have left that diesel heater on, I think, because there's a distinct chill coming from the garden room. This side's nice and toasty, but that side's a bit cool. If I'd thought about it, I'd have shut the door, but then I'd have an issue with the draw on the wood stove, so you can't win, can you? Yeah, so I might do a little bit down here, and then we'll pop across to the house and maybe finish it off in the garage. We'll see. I'm not sure about sound quality in the garage, to be honest, because when I've been in there busying myself racking up and unpacking boxes and trying to figure out where stuff is and where stuff's going to go, I have noticed there's quite a bit of road noise. So I don't know, we'll see, I guess. If it turns out to be too much, I'll just move into the kitchen. So, how are things with you? How are you bearing up wherever you are, whatever you're doing? I hope you're staying safe and well. enjoying your weekend and looking forward to getting at least a little bit of time off over this Christmas break. The hot topic in the news, outside of celebrity stuff, I'm sick of seeing Meghan Markle and Harry scrabbling around for their 15 minutes of fame and shitting on anybody to get the ratings up, so they get a few more dollars in the pay packet. The football, sick of seeing the football, soccer, as the Americans would call it. Everything's kind of deliberately geared around distracting everyone. Those are not the most important issues on the planet, I assure you. And yet, if you look in the media, that's pretty much all you get, is celebrity news. And on the social media side, it's even worse. I've lost count of the amount of YouTube channels who are putting out a video a day, solely saying that World War III's coming, Russia's mobilising its nukes, NATO's mobilising its nukes, China's mobilising its nukes. What bits there are in the media aren't actually about Ukraine, really. They did try to say that there'd been another Russian attack on Poland, and it turned out, you can't make this up, it turned out that some Polish Minister of Defence had been in Ukraine. I mean, if there was a real war in Ukraine, these people wouldn't be in Kiev, because Kiev wouldn't be there anymore. But some Polish Defence Minister was in Ukraine doing his 15 minutes of fame for his TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and he took back 2 mortars. Now, for those who are not familiar with what a mortar is, it's essentially a tube that stands on the ground. You pop a rocket in the top, it drops down, hits a pin in the bottom and shoots back up. There are variants that are automated, but essentially that's what it is. It's designed to lob little bombs, I don't know, a kilometre or 2 into the distance. So this bright spark thought it would be a great idea to take 2 of those home as kind of souvenirs, trophies if you will, of his visit to Ukraine. And it seems that one of them was live. It had something in it, because when he got it back to his office and propped it up in the corner, it went off and blew his office up. I shouldn't laugh, but I will. I mean, the mentality of people, I just don't understand it at all. They were that keen for the 15 minutes of fame that they got it, but for the wrong reasons. So I'm just wondering if he's got a job anymore. Not the brightest or the sharpest tool in the toolbox. Anyway, I digress. Most of the media stuff around war is around this World War III. Every YouTuber and his dog is putting out a daily video saying that we're at war, we're going to get nuked tomorrow, we're going to nuke them tomorrow. It's just getting really, really overhyped. It is a serious topic, don't get me wrong, but again, Western governments and Western media, I don't understand them either, because they're perpetuating this, and in fact they're trying to spread this to other parts of the globe. You've now got stories about, as I said, Russia going to nuke London, or NATO in general, but they've specifically mentioned London. NATO going to reciprocate and nuke Moscow. You've got stories in the media literally over the last couple of days about Japan. Japan's getting ready to attack China. I don't think they are. They might be getting ready to defend against China at some point in the future, as the West perpetuates this China-Taiwan and tries to spiral that into another global conflict. You've got Israel threatening Iran. They want to nuke them. You've got Turkey threatening Greece. Long-standing history there, if you're not aware of why that might be. And then at the same time, Turkey threatening to invade Syria, or the northern part of Syria. Again, long-standing conflict and political reasons why Turkey's involved in northern Syria. So there's all of this stuff around war going on. And it would be easy to kind of just retreat into your shell and say, well, there's nothing I can do about that. You're partially correct. There isn't. You're not the one that's going to be starting it. That's in the hands of our political leaders, who are entirely in the hands of the global elite. So it's down to them, really, as to how much they really want to see the world erupt, literally. I'm sure they've all got their bunkers and their stores set aside, probably got a few security people around them as well, but there is a problem with that. That's maybe a topic for a future video. So they don't really care what happens to the minions, the general population, but you can get yourself ready for the aftermath, the consequences of. If this war in Ukraine does escalate, then depending on where you are, you might not actually be directly affected, in that you might not have bombs dropping on your head. And life will still go on to a certain degree. It might not be as comfortable as we'd like, but it will still go on until the nuclear Armageddon comes. If you cast your minds back to World War II, people did still go to work during World War II. They did still have their family life. They did still have the kids in school. They still did go shopping. And so it would be, as this conflict carries on, even if it does start to escalate, or another one springs up in the South China Sea or in the Middle East, until we reach that final tipping point when all the crazy people start pushing the big red buttons, it will be life as normal, and you're going to have to deal with the change in circumstance that would bring about. I think the more likely things that you should be looking at are completely outside of this war in Ukraine and this rising global military tension, and things that perhaps we can control. But I think I'll save that for the next bit of the cabin garage house chat. And for now, I'll drink my coffee, throw some more wood on the fire. I am tempted to leave that running once I've gone, just to let itself die down, but still have a little bit of heat in the cabin. I'm kind of thinking about the water taps at the sink over there. Talking about water, I have sorted out the chickens. They've had their water and food topped up. They've had some greenery, but yeah, keeping on top of the water, bit of a challenge. I'll pop a couple of pictures into the video, and you can see I've been breaking ice today. Well, before I shoot off back home, I'll just give you a quick run round. Not done this for a while. Everything is dormant. The chilies, I popped a picture in the community tab earlier this week. They've been hammered by this frost, so I'll collect these pods off and let those ripen on the windowsill at home. Outside, it's bloody chilly. The ground is absolutely rock solid. Little wood burners going, which is very nice. That'll just keep the temperature up for a while in there. It'll still dump quickly at night, but just take the edge off. In here, carnage. Look at that. Again, I did pop a picture in the community tab. Potatoes just been completely decimated. Somebody did mention in the comments section on that community tab picture about harvesting these and just seeing what's in them. I will do, but that is absolutely rock solid. I think it's not so bad under the surface, but that surface is absolutely rock solid. I might do that next week and just see what's in there. I'm not expecting a great deal. There should, in theory, be potatoes in there because they have been in a few weeks, but whether they're usable or not, I don't honestly know. Anyway, let me get myself back out, get tidied up, locked up, and get off home, and we'll do part 2. So, welcome to the garage. It's your first sneak peek to see what's going on in here. I won't do the guided tour today. I'll save that for another video, but I'll touch on some of the stuff that's in here. So, carrying on from the cabin chat this morning, we talked about the various global military encounters that either are going on right now or that the media and the politicians in the West seem desperate to try and wind up. The more that they spread this sense of impending doom from World War III, the bigger the distraction from what's really going on. And of course it gives them the excuse to spend even more money with the industrial military complex, who just love a war. That's big business and lots of money for them. So the more likely things, even if it was a World War III scenario, this will happen anyway, the more likely things that are going to impact you, we've talked about in lots of previous videos. They're mainly around the economy, they're around the cost of living, and they're around the weather. All of those three things, we've had huge issues over this past year, since we came out of the previous crisis, the COVID crisis. If you've been keeping an eye on the media, you'll know that this week inflation rates went up again everywhere. Here in the UK, across in mainland Europe with the European Central Bank, and of course our American cousins with the Fed. So interest rates are up now in the UK to 3.5%. That's the base rate. You can add 2 or 3 or more % on top of that to give you the figure that you're going to be paying on your mortgage. And of course it is still continuing to go up. It hasn't stopped yet. The rate of inflation, again, this last week, those of you who have seen the community tab will have seen me pop a picture out. The month before last, we hit 11.1%. Last month, joy of joys, it was only 10.8% increase. And all the politicians were out in the media telling us how grateful we should be for that. Inflation's going down, they say. It's only 10.8%. And again, bear in mind that's government figure. You can double that for the real cost of living increase that we've been going through again for the past year or so. So interest rates, inflation. I scrolled back through my videos. I was looking to see what I was paying for some of the basic staples. I've got racks off camera here full of my food, long-term food stores. Bag of rice, there's a kilo in there, was paying 45p for those. They're now up over 70p now for this same bag of rice. Good old bacon grill. In the video I was doing at the end of 2019, it was the winter season, and I was talking about food stores. 99p. Not anymore. £1.50 plus, depending which shop you go to. And cans of sardines. I was paying 36p, if memory serves. over 40 now, and upwards depending on which shop you go to. So everybody, I think, is twigging to the fact that food prices are most definitely up, and they're not going to be coming down anytime soon. So if you haven't already started, get some racks up somewhere or some cupboards somewhere and start filling them. Even at today's prices, as we go into 2023, with this month on month 10, 11, who knows what it might end up being, percentage rise each month, you'll still be thanking us for telling you to get your stores now, whilst you can actually still afford them. Lots of news stories about affordability of food. People here in the UK and in other countries really struggling now. They don't know which bill it is that they're going to pay. I know that Christmas is coming very, very quickly. Next weekend we're into Christmas proper. A lot of people I've noticed have been trying to put a brave face on. They've still been putting lights outside the house. They've still got the Christmas tree up. They're still buying presents. But an awful lot of people aren't. They're cutting back on the amount of disposable income spending they're getting through this year, really trying to save as much as they can, because they need to pay the increase in the mortgage, they need to pay the increase in their gas and electricity bill, the increase in their fuel for the vehicle bill, and of course the increase in the cost of food. Lots of media articles talking about the cost of a Christmas dinner and how that's shot up over what it was last year. Get ahead of the curve now, get as much bought as you can now, and just keep topping up as we head into 2023. Talking about food and energy, they do combine. The cost of energy now has a knock-on effect all the way through the supply chain. So it's not just about the cost of it coming out the ground, which has gone up because of sanctions. It has a knock-on effect. It goes to the refinery. The price goes up as it comes out of the refinery. It goes into the tanks of the vehicles, the trains, the ships that move stuff around the world, adds to the price again. The farmers in the fields, the cost of fueling their farm machinery has gone up, so that price is reflected when they sell their produce on to the wholesalers and then of course into the supermarkets. So that has a huge knock-on effect. And one thing that people are noticing now, and I've noticed a lot of channels in YouTube talking about, a byproduct of the petrochemical industry is fertiliser. The main provider of fertiliser has now been taken out of the equation. So as we head into 2023 in the planting season, have your cost of energy gone up? Have your cost of fertiliser gone up? Before the farmer actually grows the crops, his input prices have massively increased. So the cost of producing whatever it is that he's growing in terms of crops, you can absolutely guarantee that when it comes to harvest time next year, because of the lack of fertiliser, the yield will go down. So there's a problem with the actual crop harvest, the actual amount produced, and the cost of working the field and cutting the crops, the diesel that you use in the machinery, has also gone up. The prices in the supermarkets as we head through harvest season next year are going to massively increase yet further. So please, please do stock up while you can still afford to buy it. I have no doubt that as we head towards this time next year, a lot of people just will be priced out of the food and potentially the energy market. And I really don't know what's going to happen to them people when that happens. Final thing about food production, the weather. I've been complaining all the way through this year about the weather. We are in a grand minimum solar cycle, so you expect a bit of volatility. We've had a huge amount of volatility in this country, and indeed that's been reflected across the entire planet. everybody pretty much in every country has seen their fair share of unseasonable or outright weird weather. You'll remember during the summer we had that huge period without rain here in the UK. I was really struggling to keep on top of the watering when I came to harvest things like potatoes. I mentioned it in those videos. It was really obvious that the lack of water, or the reduced amount of water that I was able to get onto the crops as they were growing, had a marked effect on harvests. I have no doubt that that will be reflected in the harvests of crops this year, which of course will lead to a reduction in supply next year. And now as we head into winter, we've had in the UK up to -15, and this entire last week, 10 days here where I live has been sub-zero. The highest I've seen it on the temperature gauges has been -8. So thankfully not -15, but I don't know what it was in the night when I was asleep. I suspect it went further than -8. And it's not really got above freezing all the way through that week, 10-day period. And indeed it still is this weekend. And they are forecasting an even bigger freeze for next weekend and potentially a dump of snow. So I'm not looking forward to the Christmas weekend in terms of weather anyway. So lots of stuff going on around the world, lots of crises, but it isn't the end of it. It is literally the beginning. We are going to see this continue right through winter into spring, and I suspect all the way through the new year. I have no idea what's going to happen militarily with this war in Ukraine or this constant drive to antagonise China. I have no clue what's going to happen with that. I was going to say then, I won't go there. I hope that more sensible heads prevail and we don't end up in a real all-out Russia-China versus the West. That would be a nightmare scenario. But even putting that aside, we still have got lots of crises that are impacting now and will continue to impact. And it's certainly in terms of energy, food, cost of living, we're not done. This is going to go all the way through next year. So make your plans now. Don't panic, plan. Get yourself into a position where you can make sure that your job is secure, or identify somewhere that you can escape to quickly if the worst happens and you lose your job, and at least pick some income up. Try and draw down on debt, but absolutely stock up. Fill whatever space you have with long-term food stores, because you are going to need them. We are going to see huge price increases over and above the ones we've seen now. We are going to see availability problems as we go through next year. And in terms of canned goods, you know, stuff like this was put in the can at least 1 to 2, maybe even 3 years ago, before it gets into your supermarket supply chain. This isn't this year's harvest. It wasn't last year's harvest either. So this knock-on effect, not just fresh but canned as well, we will see that for a while yet. Anyway, that's enough. I will try and get on top of the video production. Work is manic, but we have got the Christmas break coming up, so I'm hoping I'll have a little bit more spare time on my hands and I can do it justice and put out some more regular content. I will go through what I've got stored in here. Most of it is off camera on that wall, but I will run through. I'll pick a topic, I'll show you what I've got, and it might generate some ideas for you as to gaps you might have, or if you're just fresh starting out, it'll give you a shopping list. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please do stay safe and well. Apologies again for my intermittent production of videos. It has been a crazy time at work. It's a crazy time out there in the big wide world, and it is only going to get crazier. So fingers crossed you are preparing. Whatever you're doing, stay safe and well. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch up with you in the next one. Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. Just feel free to leave them in the comments section below. But for now, thanks for watching,
and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.